With a 20-year reputation for clean business, Matt Glynn at Code Property Group is the first choice for real estate on the Sunshine Coast and surrounding areas. I've known Matt for a very long time from a personal level and professional level, and he is an excellent real estate agent. He's professional, he holds a high level of integrity, he presents incredibly well, and has a huge amount of knowledge when it comes to the real estate industry. So if you are in the market to buy, sell, or simply get a valuation and find out more about your current property, then give Matt a call on 0404 315 066 or matt.glynn, GLYNN at codepg.com. You won't be disappointed. All right, well, welcome back to another edition of the Paul's Body Engineering Podcast. Today, we've got not one, but two special guests, because I'm very happy to say that I've got Scott and Kate Piper with us, and we're going to talk about the very newly launched Tropix show, which was announced this previous week, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah, cool. So welcome, guys.
Hi.
So let's talk about the new show, because that's what we want to talk about. Let's dive straight into it. Obviously, new show, but old flavours, yeah?
Yes, we are back. We are back.
Yeah, how cool.
I did get told that see how long Mr. Tropix would stay on the sidelines, sit on the bench, but we are back September 6th, 2025, but just running the one season at the moment, just to get a toe on the water. But yeah, on the glorious Sunshine Coast,
yep.
Our home of Townsville after 10 great years, as everyone knows. The year before last we did wind up.
Yep.
But and mixed feelings. But yeah, we're excited to be back in the game, and the whole Fit fam and the team are very, very, very excited and keen to get back into the thing they love.
So you want to basically bring your crew from up there down to here and run it as if nothing had really changed.
Yeah. You've never seen a group of people, and Kate and I were talking about it when we first started to tell them and bleed it out a little bit to get the feelers out. It was almost like when we finished up Townsville, I'd taken their favourite toy away, and then when we announced it, you'd seen the sheer joy. It was like you pulled that toy out of the cupboard and given them back, and then it became a whole. Well, I mean, where's my spot? Don't give my spot away. And as honestly, it's been the secret source of the Tropix experience, right?
Of course.
Everyone knows it. It's a family effect, and it's a culture that we've managed to create over the years, and no one ever misses their spot. Everyone loves it to death, and as much as we do, right? It's it was mixed feelings when we had to call it in Townsville, but there's a myriad of reasons. There's probably another podcast in itself, but yeah, there's still a bit of passion, and then of course the little young buck Braden, the nephew, will he's very keen to learn the ropes and start to move through. So pretty excited to be back in the seat. I've got some zest back in the old dog, but I suppose once you're a promoter, you're always a promoter, right? And it's the entrepreneur.
Never goes away.
No.
So break it down for me. So what does it look like in terms of delivery of the show? The venue is where?
Sunshine Coast Function Centre.
Okay, so you guys have obviously scouted around. You've found a venue that's worked for you, or looks like it's going to work for you?
Well, it's interesting. It's actually one of our biggest challenges in delivering Tropix, right? There's certain elements of it. Everyone knows our banners. There's certain things and backstage experience that we found a couple other venues and we got quite excited about it. But then, unfortunately, when we started to work with the event coordinators, it was like winding the relationship back that we did 10 years ago with the convention centre in Townsville.
Right.
There's things that we just evolved over those years that make it what it is. And to be perfectly frank, it's a lot of venues we just say, can you just give us the keys and open the doors and we'll do the rest.
Yeah.
And this venue, the Sunshine Coast Function Centre, just basically were there. It was amazing to, Kate went and scouted, did the first pass, and Mrs. Tropix knows exactly what pretty much I look for now, and sent me little videos, but it was more just the relationship, and that's what we built. It's more just the shell and a venue. It's actually how they fit into the equation, and I think that's to be honest, and pretty blunt with all, some promoters fail in that arrangement because they don't understand it's a full ecosystem that makes a good product. So we're pretty excited. It's got all the elements that we needed to basically pick up what we did in Townsville and drop it here.
Because that's important, right? Because a lot of people don't realise the intricacies and the nuances of running a bodybuilding show. You need a backstage area. You need a front of house. You need, obviously, appropriate amount of seating, stage lighting, sound, audio.
It's huge, and we actually start from the back, from the whole event experience has to start from the athletes at the back, right? Everyone talks about it, and it's probably a bit abused in the sense of what that actually means. Oh, it's all about the athlete experience, but when you actually go through, and that's where we start, and we walk through, okay, if I'm an athlete getting ready, and the tanning, and then the foods and areas, how's my journey to stage going to be? You know, what does my day look like? And that's what we actually did. And Kate sent me a few videos with ideas, and when I got there, then we started to push the venue to say, okay, well, that's not going to work. I can't have them flow this way. You know, the holding pen we talk about in Townsville, that evolution that we built, we kept, like, we were like a plague in Townsville where we just kept taking space through the whole convention centre. This venue, we've actually just got the whole lot straight off the bat. So obviously it's not as big as that convention centre, but also we never used the whole centre in that sense. But this, and we've run them at venue 114, and it was a great little venue, but I think that's where it also expanded what their capabilities of size to what this will do, right? So
amazing.
We're pretty excited. It's and just their team though too is equally as passionate about when we showed them. Kate sent all the videos around what we do, and they got equally excited around the product. So
that's cool, because I would assume, and this might have come down to some of the other venues you approached, that there might have been a bit of a stigma when you mentioned bodybuilding. In regards to maybe tanning, people, just that sort of thing.
Well, one venue in particular, when they asked for an MDS sheet on tanning products and what it does for fumes, that was a bit of a red flag. Okay, never had that before, but sure. After I asked Hannah at Sheep around that one.
That was a bit awkward. But like on that with the backstage area, and I know that there is, and I've listened to previous podcasts, and when I mention this, I know who it is, but they've talked about our backstage team, and a little shout out to Andy, our backstage manager, because he's been there for such a long time with us. He's so passionate about it. But the special thing about this venue is there's actually like a proper bar in the backstage area where the athletes are going to be. So we obviously have our blow up, the palm trees, which everyone loves, but there is actually a bar in this area. So Andy's pretty pumped to, be behind a bar, like dealing out the lollies and bananas.
Dollars in the Pepsi Max.
So yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
How good.
Protein shakes on the pep keg.
Keg
pumps, but
Oh, well, that's good. Like, obviously, the venue has to meet a certain standard and a certain expectation. So the fact that you found one here on the coast to suit is ideal.
And the RSL's part of them, and then there's the accommodation. They're all the ingredients we look for, right? It's an experience, and that's what Tropix always has been. It's a destination event, and even though it's Sunshine Coast, and as everyone knows, has been following along Tropix, we brought our Season A show down here and ran for a couple of years there because we did our homework on the insights and the market. So we always had a connection here, but now to pick the whole lot up and do it here.
Unreal.
And interesting enough, the drive market will come from Brisbane still,
of course,
but then they may stay the night, but then you're looking for we're still supporting our regional comrades from Cairns to Townsville and Mackay. They've always had a pretty good following and footprint with us. So and they were equally sad to see us wind up, and some still haven't quite understood why. But we're an open book. If anyone rings me, wants to send me a message and ask, or pick up the phone, just I can give them the tea, as they say, behind it. But a little bit of politics in it, and the rest of it. But outside that, I mean, it's also a commercial decision as well, right? Everyone knows how expensive it is to move around.
Absolutely.
And we don't skimp on costs when we run these things.
No,
we'll see.
No, I know that firsthand. And I guess you spoke about the drive-in, but also the fact that there's a local airport here too that flies direct from Sydney to Melbourne multiple times a day. So
exactly,
very accessible to other states as well.
Yeah, and that's what we want to tap into. I mean, we've and not being hubris about the fact that we've always had good reputation, but then someone just haven't had the experience to get. So a lot of people came for our last show that was in Townsville, but now to come back, we've already had lots of messages and people getting excited. But the market from Melbourne that we call from the fly market, and Sydney now can come up and experience it
100%
and enjoy what everyone else has had a taste of for the last 10 years. Well, it's actually been 12 years of Tropix, 2 years with a C, and then we took over and put the X on the end, and and gave it the X factor that it needed. So
100%. Well, anyone who's competed in the Tropix show over the last 10 years will know exactly what a great show it was and how well run it was as well. I think that's the key from an athlete's perspective is, I guess, the streamlined approach. Knowing you give a run sheet, right, you're pretty much going to be guaranteed that you're on time every time, and the athlete knows, because that's a critical component, right? And some shows, unfortunately, do run late for various reasons, but you get a pump up, you don't want to lose that pump up just as you're about to walk on,
100%. And I think we spoke the last podcast I was on with you in India.
Yeah.
We talk about those secret ingredients and the secret sauce and the science that goes behind it. And it's an art. I mean, that last show we ran in Townsville I was on the mic for 13 hours straight.
Yep.
No pee break, no food other lollies that came out, but we were so intent with making sure that it was flowing. But then it was all about the experience that no one felt like they didn't get.
Absolutely.
The stage time, they didn't get. All the things they want to walk away from the end of the day.
Yep.
Going, that was a damn good day.
Yeah.
We were on the golf course the other day. I was talking about, and I was telling you around some of those little things that we do that behind the scenes with the backstage and those elements that you don't want an athlete walking away having a bad experience. The judging, sometimes people can get frustrated. It didn't turn out that way. Everyone wants to win.
But it's a subjective sport, right? And we all accept that, and we all know that, even as frustrating as it can be from times.
Yeah.
And judges are human; they can make mistakes, but they can also make a decision based on their knowledge and your criteria. So, I'll bring up a funny story though, because I've been meaning to tell you guys about this for a long time. Do you remember? And I'll look at you,
I know.
Kate, for this.
I'm feeling the eyes.
Do you remember in your last show? So it was 22, wasn't it? 2022. Last show?
Yeah, 23.
23.
Yeah.
Backstage, there was an oil spill on the floor. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Somebody wanted to oil up, and they decided to do it on the plastic matting right in the middle of the walkway.
Do you know who that was?
Who were you?
Was it?
I'm going to throw someone else on the bus. It was me and Joey. He sprayed the oil on me in that spot, and then as soon as that happened, and you were running around like a mad woman trying to cover it up,
I know, 'cause people
we went and hid.
Okay, I was like, because you were nowhere to be seen.
Joey Cantlin.
And you know what? All right, Coach Joe. Right. Well, we'll have a chat next time.
And every time we're in India together, we go, we should tell him. We have to tell him. We've got to tell him.
That was like a proper insurance nightmare, I would say, because the venue's going, oh, this is not good. And they're saying, but like we've got the matting. And to the credit, so there was still, even though the venue had gone through a change of hands by then, there was still a couple of the oldies, that had been with the venue for 10 plus years, and they did me a solid. And bless her, she went out the back, God knows where, in the middle of somewhere underneath the bleachers we weren't using, and she found that old piece of matting.
Yeah, the carpet,
she
I think it was, yeah.
We'll just throw it out at the end of the day because it's going to be covered in tan because all the athletes were walking across it. And she just thought, oh my God, what if someone slipped and broke their neck? And I thought, I don't know who it is, but now I know. Because I was on my hands and knees wiping that plastic in my nice show outfit.
We didn't even think of it at the time. Joey just said, do you want me to, spray you? I said, yeah, because I'm due on soon. So he sprayed me, and then we walked away, and then we learned what was going on, and it was chaos.
On there on the radio, they're like, we've got an incident backstage. And I'm thinking, oh my God, an athlete's like passed out.
I even heard about it out the front on the mic.
Everybody knew about it. There's an oil spill backstage. And I thought,
it was just canola oil, spray
to
canola oil.
everybody's credit, we cleaned that oil up. I mean, I feel like I could work on the side of the highways with the big oil tanker spills after that, because we had it down. Like, we were safe. Everyone was done, and I'm saying all the girls in their heels, walk around, ladies. Please don't break an ankle.
So another level of expertise in the Tropix crew is troubleshooting
clean up
fires, basically.
Do you know what? There is, and I say this to venues all the time, and obviously we have oil spills, as now I know the culprit. You boys will never live that down. But it's even things, the venue respected us so much because, there'll be 20, 30, 40 times a day or during the show, even I would do the run around, and there has been times where I've been on my hands and knees in bathrooms scrubbing off tan because an athlete's gone in and they shouldn't have, but that makes the difference, right? And and I think the venues know to respect that, because it doesn't matter what's happening, like we always make sure that everything's taken care of.
Well, that's how you, like you said before, form that relationship, and then assuming this show will return, the venue won't have a problem at all, and it'll just be a continuous relationship.
Easier and easier,
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a gift to get, We've always had that with the venues over time, but we're excited with them. But There you go, mystery solved.
I know. And do you know what? I still think about that. I still think about that day because it was like a lot. And I remember Andy going, I'm going to get a Stanley knife. We're just going to chop this plate. Like, we're going to replace it. Like, everybody was all hands on deck. And I thought, oh my God,
there
who
you
did
go.
this?
You were tested.
I know. Oh, Joey as well. Next time I see him.
Sorry, Joe. All right, well, let's dive into some of the obvious stuff that people will want to know about, categories and divisions. Yep. So, run us through it. I'm going to assume it's going to be pretty much stock standard from what you used to deliver.
Everything 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 the Tropix experience has always been same divisions. Probably the only thing that we'll look to tighten up is the crossovers. And look like, which we've always probably done anyway, but I've really disencouraged people doing too many divisions. So whilst I had to mirror to what Brisbane shows always did, but I'm going to tighten that back a bit and try and bring that back. So I won't call a number now because I'm waiting to see obviously what, how we run through, but it'll get back to likely that 3 to 4 divisions, and then you've got, for girls, it's obviously then runway and angels are sort of that complementary free ones. Well, they obviously enter them, but they don't add into, right? So they're just add-on divisions that they do. But with that though, which we were only talking about recently, is we've always done with the Tropix, and it's probably been lost in the whole Queensland effect for us, but those divisions we actually treat quite seriously, from the runway, the angels, the swimsuits, and with our judging panel, with Big Rob and Whitney, we've had that different subjective look on it, so we've always treated them, outright what they were. And when wellness is a good example that came into it, it was interesting watching that flow through the country. So Tropix is always, and once again, not to be hubris about it, but we've always stood on our own, the fact that we don't get involved in that politics, right? It's there's no influence to the judging panel. There's none of that overlay that we just, as me on the mic, I stand there and I look at the judges and they make that call, right? But they know their criteria and they run that decision. We don't get lost in what's happening on social, what people are talking about, coaches coming through. So I think reflecting that into those divisions will run, as everyone's always known, but making sure that we just tidy up that. And I've always done it, and I haven't probably broadcast a lot of it because it does, cause a few challenges sometimes when you make a big deal about something. But I often I'd challenge athletes when they're trying to cross over. When I see that list, and I'm thinking, send photos, because you can take their money, but I've always been about not wanting to do that, right? I don't want them coming out and they've crossed over the division because their coaches maybe new to the game told them, and then all of a sudden they've gone and entered that, and they're 6th, 7th place, and in their head they're wrong. Coach said I'll do really well in this. No, right? And as a coach yourself, I mean, those things that we always try to run through. So, but to go back to your question, we same divisions we always know, just probably tightening up and running those elements. But being the way we are with the Tropix product, that's where we're just trying to, we can flex our own rules a little bit like that.
Absolutely,
and tighten up some things that I probably wanted to do for a while. But to credit, the feds are starting to tighten up and appreciate that too, and take that feedback loop. Implementing is probably a little bit harder for them, but it's good to see that conversation started anyway.
Absolutely. So with given you're the 6th of September, your show will be. So if memory serves me correct, there may be one other South East Queensland show on the weekend before. So in terms of first timers, are you going to allow, because this obviously gets muddied as well, first timers at your show or first timer ever? First timer ever.
And I think that's, as you know me well, I've been athlete myself, and I think those sort of ingredients that every show, no matter whether you're federated or not, need to hone in on that and make sure. And it's a little bit of work, and unfortunately some will come through and slip through the cracks because they don't quite understand. But equally, right, it's that communication loop. We've always, when you get that list, as soon as they enter, you go through, just making sure you are, and then you're really challenging them that if they're dishonest and then it comes out, then obviously still deal with it the same way, right? You can take their place and stuff like that. But same elements around that. And then encourage that crossover, first timer into the novice and then open. Those sort of things was same thing we've always had.
Perfect. So something I didn't mention off the top, this is obviously a natural show and a natural federation. So the next question most people want to know about is drug testing. It has sort of fallen by the wayside, shall we say, over years for some other natural fed. So it's really important, I guess, from an athlete and coach's perspective, that there's integrity within that space.
Yeah.
What's the process, or what are you thinking in regards to that?
Yeah, no, we're definitely drug testing. And we always say, in Townsville, those who've probably done a few shows of this will remember the fun we make it with the marbles. So the random, when you come to check in and you dip it in and pull it out. And then obviously then we pull out those. Little secret behind that for some that may not have known, but that we've always, there's some that you hear stories around and athletes, and, not to call them out, but we would then make sure that they don't slip through by random. We would actually then, many a times, and here's some bit of tea for you, as you like, is I would actually know those and watch Rego and tell them when that name come. We would take out all, because we used to pull out the colour ball, right? You would get it. I'd pull them all out. So there was no 80 to 1 in 10 chance. It was like, you're getting tested. But they still thought they were part of the fun, right?
Yeah, of course.
The thing out, right? And that was my polite way of, going, well, I'm not going to call you out explicitly.
Sure.
So they've done it, and I've probably done about 10, 15 athletes over the years where I've heard the rumours and stories, and then that then filters through to the group.
Absolutely.
It was disappointing to see a lot of shows not test, to be honest, and as an athlete myself, it was really getting quite frustrated, particularly the larger shows where the revenue's there, and the commercials there. There's no excuse not to.
No.
But I'll throw to Kate. She's heading up that with our illustrious team who are building that out, and obviously we've gone to our own lab to make sure we can test.
Because actually one of our team, he is actually a clinical nurse, so we're lucky enough to have that. And whoever has seen him, it's Brent that's actually on our front door, does our merch, and his partner Andy, who does our backstage. But so we have that medical aspect, which is really fantastic. So it is all above board. So we'll have our own kits, which come through a registered company, which a lot of mine sites use, and big of the energy and coal mining, those sorts of things. So we'll have those kits on site. We'll conduct the testing, and then it'll be sent off to a lab. So, and it'll most likely be a local lab, like Sullivan Nicolaides, etc.
Okay.
But obviously having a medical professional on staff who has been in director roles as well within Queensland Health, so definitely well regarded, just adds that extra layer for us that we know that we're doing the right thing and we're keeping it above board. So, and it's important, as Scott said, because people do the hard work and they don't want to lose out because of something silly like that. So,
absolutely.
And people they're getting creative over the years. Like, we know that it's evolved. They're using of substances to get on stage.
It has.
And
it's more prevalent too.
And the cycles that they go through and how they can mask it. So,
and that's what we're doing, talking to our friends through, when you think, this is a business, right, commercially, so you think about some of the masking agents they're using in mine sites and some of these roles, right, where they're recreational drugs, and there's different to performance enhancing, right, but there's a lot of them still doing, so they're capturing that because they still can affect your work, right? If you, as people know, right, if you're on some good stuff and then, your mental state isn't there, so that impacts your work role, right?
That does.
So I'm just thinking, as Kate was talking then, some people go, what's mine test going to do? It's actually, no, it's the level. There's lots of kits that they run that they test for. So the good thing of this industry, and when working with pathologies for some time now, is we can call out these, or as everyone knows, right, the WADA standards, what you need, and then you get the kits to run. But where we're trying to speed that up is that we can actually call out an athlete quicker, so on show day, is actually do that live testing if you need to, right? So same as if you're trying to do an enter to a mine site, some of those ingredients. So if it's really obvious and stuff like that, a bit hard in performance enhancing, right, as you know, right, our sort of blood test. But it like everyone, it's a deterrent more than anything else, right? If people know you're serious about it, then if you're foolish enough to try and have a gamble,
you're running that risk.
Right? And it's the same as the gamble if you're going into a work site and you're laced to the hills with some good stuff. Different to recreational, and that's probably what I call out. I'm not saying that's an area, but it's the performance enhancing stuff and the masking agents that we're looking for. That.
And having those standards and using those types of kits, we can sort of, I guess, prioritise and nail it down, but it's all encompassing too. So it's done through Australian standard companies, like it's all above board.
Absolutely.
So from our perspective, running a business and having that as part of the show, it's important that we're going to the correct suppliers and the correct people that will, and that's why we started, the conversations about that drug testing probably almost the start of last year,
Yeah.
to ensure that we were going to go down the right path before we even thought about bringing the show back.
Well, it holds.
Because we know how it's important.
Exactly. I was about to say it holds a high level of integrity. Then you know, and even though you bring in a similar flavour from what you used to do, this is obviously a fresh start in some regards.
Yeah.
So you can set the standards from day one.
Yeah.
And then obviously if the shows continue, people know exactly what's expected of them as an athlete to turn up and be prepared to be tested if need be.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
Unreal. All right. So I get on stage. I win an overall. I've done it before. Just a little shout out to myself there. I think I'm on a banner downstairs.
I know, I was like, did I just walk past a banner? I think so, maybe. I think that's Mr. Hooper.
Little ego trip.
Yeah, the day you put oil over my floor.
That's why I didn't say anything at the
You know
time.
what? I think I'm going to take the banner back.
So what's the overall winner receive? Like, what are the options here? Because given you're an independent federation now, you're not associated with anybody.
Yep.
There's pro cards obviously seem unlikely because they can't exactly go anywhere and do anything with it other than status. So are we talking, swords? Are we talking massive trophies? Are we talking prize money? Are we talking gifts? Sponsorship? Like, what does this look like?
Well, it's actually, as I know, probably just go back to your pro into that one first. So we've never been able to issue pro cards even when we're running in towns, right? So being a regional show.
Yep.
So that's always been a challenge because, to be honest, I always wanted to, right? To bring the athletes up, but then we also, it was prohibited by those wanted to come at the timing of the season because we were earlier, yada yada, right? So when you look at the timing of this one, it'll be the same effect, right? So chance curious around that. We won't run obviously Pro Cup this year, but and equally too, I think we're talking off air is what does it actually mean?
Yeah.
And we really want to see that go through because we've seen athletes chase pro cards that. Went up a line up against two, or maybe one. Pro card, okay, you got a great social media, you look like a legend, and not taking away from the win, but then that has a whole challenge in itself, right? So we won't enter that pro conversation there, but the open winners probably where we're fortunate now, which we've always attracted good partnerships and sponsors, right? The Tropix has always had a good return on investment for our audiences and who we've been involved in, and Kate and the team have done a great job in always delivering on that, right? We were the first shows, I think, in 2013-14, I was bringing in 50 grand worth of sponsorship and partnerships, right? And then, but that, everyone says, where'd that money go? That actually allowed us to build that thing that everyone saw in towns, right?
Yes.
Everyone knows behind the scenes that cost was enormous just to get the shell.
Yep.
But where we had with Plus Fitness as a naming partner now, whilst we'd love to have Audi, Audi Set of Towns with our friends, give them a shout out, but 10 years of partnerships, but unfortunately, we may look at things down here, but
they're also just in Townsville, that Audi Centre.
That Audi is a relationship thing.
Long way to go.
Makes it a little irrelevant for them to be down here, but
I know Audi Centre, Sunshine Coast, they do
they're
need new Audi, so we'll
you're listening down on Sugar Road.
But we'll look to do things a bit differently and not to drag on about it, but where we really want to take this show is the things that people look for is why are you trying to get a pro card, right? So if it's about trying to enhance your profile through social media or the benefits of whether it's a modelling contract or it's just sheer influence into said partnerships, we're looking, and we've already started this behind the scenes, and they'll start to see them pop out, but not only financial rewards, but actually partnering with those that, for example, athletes, or it might be partnered with Nutrition Warehouse, for example, or one of the subs vendors, right? And that helps them, right? Because it's a big cost, right? So how do you replicate that back to say, we can give you 12 months worth of partnerships with things, all your supplements are funded, those sort of things. So how do you take everyday expenses away, right? And that's always been that contra arrangement that an event will do, but how do you help an athlete win and get that contra back into them, which is what most from affiliates or whatever they've been trying to get themselves. And in a lot of ways, they'll want the pro card, so then they can go into that said partnerships and say, I'm a pro.
100%.
I think, and then they go, okay, what's your audience? And then the ROI conversation kicks off, right?
Yeah.
How can we accelerate that with them? And maybe giving away a bit of the secret sauce. Some of the other promoters might go and try and do this, right? But I can guarantee you there's a difference between an idea and then executing that and then actually measuring that with the said relationship you have with that partner, right? So Sunny Coast has a great community, as you know, from the business network. It's very supportive. But we're also going to watch very closely and listen to what athletes are needing and wanting between, we're in a cost of living crisis, so how do you help, even a partnership with Woolworths that gives you chicken for for 6 months, you know. As crazy as it sounds, but in my when Zane and I were competing, we used to have a sponsorship of Leonard's, for example.
There you go.
You know, so we used to get 10 kilos of chicken a week, and it was gold. Like it
chicken's
literally
expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, it is expensive right now. Side note, but it's expensive.
Yeah.
Right?
Crazy things like but see, that's real cost, right? And that's why people take that away. Like, okay, hang on, I'd love to go and promote myself to get that, but if I can win a show and then that gave me a right to go, here you go, champ. And that's the sort of things we're looking to sort of evolve. And I'm, you know, and it might be proven, but I'm pretty confident coming from an athlete myself. I know those things that actually connect and mean something to why you want to do that. Outside the great day and, you know, the
experience,
the accolades or the rewards, and,
of course,
you know, the trophy. We have our same intention about trophies. We have the same stuff. You know, we always mix it up between our hammers and our swords, and you know, our repertoire of contacts have been pretty good. You know, I'm actually pretty excited to design a new medal, to be honest.
Yeah, cool, absolutely.
You know, we always stay medals, but you know, our team that did the last mould, you know, now we can do something again with a different flavour, the new logo. So pretty pumped to run that through and then get that moving.
Yeah,
as
absolutely.
Well. So yeah, those sort of little things like that, and those elements are really what we're looking to always been renowned for, but then we'll take it up a notch in what we can do down here, and leveraging, you know, our strong brand power with Plus Fitness and that, you know, because we have a good relationship with Caitlin, who owns the Gold Coast clubs, and then we've got our clubs here
in Brisbane,
Brisbane and here, so we can make that great little initiative, right, and then start to do some pretty creative things.
Absolutely. How good. That's exciting. So watch this space.
Yeah. Keep an eye out. We'll keep rolling through. Not to deliberately tease or trickle, but I think if anything, most people just love cash prizes, right? So
of course.
Probably I left off there is that when you look about being unfederated, as they say, is I'll look to do something differently where we can actually, your cash prize is an entry to a show you choose, right? So if it's a WMBF show or an FMG or whatever the girl's trying to do, it's a big way, right? They know how costly it is, and most are waiting not only to see how they go in the show, but it may be marked on their calendar, but then it becomes a financial challenge, right? You know, you've been around the circuit. You just finished with Kelly on you know, the amount of money they pumped into that. Like, it's an investment, right?
Yeah,
it's
big
huge.
time.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So they're the other little things that we're just really looking to do. How we be smart with rewarding people, and then. But as I always said, right, it's a feedback loop. That's one of the things people forget, right? Is listen, 2 ears, 1 mouth. Listen, soak it all in, and then keep pivoting. And we'll keep doing that with the Tropix.
Yeah, cool. And I think you and I were talking on the golf course, as we do.
Who won that game, by the way?
Hey? Oh! Yeah, it took me 9 holes to warm up. I think you mentioned, and I might be speaking out of school here, regarding like a loyalty sort of setup as well. Was that? Did we speak about that?
Yeah, we did.
I don't know how much of that you want to.
Yeah, I might hold off on that one because I think it will be a bit of a point of difference and that's probably how we're going to do that, because we can we built our own platform, right? So away from what we were on before. Obviously simplifying it too for the athletes to enter, but probably watch this space. The coaches and athletes, that's a big key thing that we've managed to achieve, that we'll be able to reward back. And the give back is pretty cool. It's a genuine give back, which is, everyone talks about it, you know, but this is actually what I've managed to build out to facilitate that. And,
awesome.
Of course, our app is still live as well, which it will be rehashed.
It'll be relaunched, but it's still there. So anyone who did have the Tropix app before, you'll get a little notification.
Well, at the moment, if you go in there, it says "Go on fishing." It should say "Go on golf."
I was about to say, well, we do go fishing because our balls do end up in the water a lot.
Yeah. It was Zane. If I was in WA with Zane, we'd be fishing every day. But yeah, so we were just rebuilding that out. So I mean, that's also been one of our.
Cool.
We're the only app. I think I'm the only the only event with an app. To be honest, I think you've been around the circuit on there.
I don't recall any others. No.
Yeah.
So that leads me to the next point about registrations and when they open up and how people go about it. Website. You mentioned the app. You know, how's that looking?
Yeah. So we're nearly finished. I'm looking sort of mid. And as always, usually when people know too, we usually don't try and mix it in between before season 8 kicks off.
Absolutely.
It's always been that bit of rule of thumb, even though it's sometimes we've had it live and open, and we're a bit different, I think, and those who've competed for a while, no matter how early you try and open, we're not like a running festival or a tri festival or any of those, right, where they literally finish and then you're on, like Noosa Tri's literally sold out for the individuals within, I think it was
like
a week
or something.
2 weeks after the last race, right, for the next year. But that's a different culture, right? The bodybuilding circuit's always been, and we've had this with many other promoters we've talked to, like you can open up the next day if you want, but there's so many variables in bodybuilding that no matter how hard you try, they'll always hold out, right?
Yep.
Same as opening tickets to participate. Well, I'm not going to buy a ticket because I don't know if Johnny's actually going to get on stage yet. You know, that's the element. So
Absolutely.
we'll have it ready, and then we'll probably do some glimpses and then run throughs, but we'll probably wait closer to that season A.
Yep.
Because what we also used to see, a bit different now because there's only one show for Tropix, but people used to enter the wrong show. You know?
Yeah.
So, and then the thing with a bit of comp brain.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but definitely the app will probably...
Instead of B, and we're like, oh no.
No, wrong one.
Yeah, wrong one.
Wrong time of year.
But I'll get the app out within the next few weeks is
Okay.
the intent to bring all the content. More so people can go single source of truth, right? So they can start to look at the division categories and the criteria. And all the base stuff that people like. But in booking, Sheik's already open for tanning. No, that is she's already she's already
There you go. Shout out to Sheik. Absolutely.
But yeah, Kate will probably cover off on our
Yeah.
partners as
Well, well, I mean, unless you wanted to finish that, you've got a list of great questions. I don't want to interrupt.
No,
I know
you're
I
right.
feel like I should after hearing about the oil. But I'm never going to let you let that down. But no, it is probably a good segue to the partners because there are elements to the Tropix show that, I mean, our core team is everybody loves them. I mean, you know, I've never seen a group of people come out with more tan and glitter on them and they haven't got on stage. The fact that my husband finishes the end of the day and he's got lipstick all over his face, glitter all over his jacket, tan everywhere, and most wives...
That's just dodging Libby.
Actually, shout out to Lib with her glitter. But no, it's funny, most wives would be like, oh my God, my husband's come out, and I was like, oh babe, you know, you did well today. It's not as much glitter or as much tan as usual.
Yeah, that's right.
Because our local dry cleaner loves trying to get the tan out of his jacket after each show. But there are those elements. So there's our great team, but then there's also the partners and the providers. So Hannah and her team at Chic will definitely be back. So they have already opened up bookings for our show.
Perfect.
So they will be exactly how we used to run Tropix up north. They will be there day before doing base tans. And
so they'll be on site at the venue?
Yeah, they will be on site, which is
Okay.
really exciting. So it'll be very similar to how we did it last time. So obviously we'll be bumping and building out the show the day before on the Friday. When we open up Regos that afternoon, as we normally do, usually 1 to 4, Hannah and the Chic team will be there doing all the base tans backstage. So it just, you know, it's convenient, as always, for the athletes. They come in, get their packs, pop out, get their tan, cover up, go home. And then they'll be backstage all show day as well, which is really phenomenal. But yeah, Hannah's launched a new website, which is really cool. All her details are on her socials and their page. So for those that want to book in nice and early, check it out. And then we have Duran back as well. So our infamous photographer. So he's been part of our... I mean, he was even our wedding photographer.
Yeah.
He is definitely part of the fam.
Yeah.
And he... I mean, gosh, we even had a seat at the table for him at our wedding. We were like, just take some photos and then come party. So he's been with us for so many years now, and he is... I mean, he even shows up at Bumping Day and like potters around and helps Andy, and so
good value, old guys.
so it's really great that those people that everybody has already come to work with and know are back with us, and they were straight into it. As soon as we said this might be happening, they were like, just let us know the date.
Yeah.
So,
good.
But we do have obviously Plus Fitness as our naming partner, which is really exciting.
Absolutely.
So there'll be lots of stuff that we do in that space, especially when it comes to posing workshops and things like that. So obviously we have Sunshine Coast in Brisbane, and then our other friend Kate has the Gold Coast. So there'll be opportunities for our Gold Coast athletes that we'll go down and we'll do some stuff down in those gyms as well.
Okay.
Her and her team are really excited to be part of it.
Yep.
And you know, and there'll be more partners coming on board as time progresses.
Yep.
Even with the venue, obviously they're connected to Caloundra RSL, so they've been very welcoming for our athletes. So there will be those athlete, perks of, you know, discounted foods after show for their family members. You know, if the athletes are doing another show, obviously they can't eat too much, but their family can.
Yep.
We'll have a designated space for our athletes to get food and beverage and things like that.
Perfect.
There'll even be, they've been actually pretty phenomenal, the RSL, but there'll also be a bar inside for spectators on show day, which is really exciting. I know.
Flashbacks to Gladstone show.
I know.
Turned around half of a drunk by half. It was the weirdest thing ever.
Put a bit of a vibe on, but so we've got some really great partners coming on board. There'll be hotel announcements, all those sorts of things for people that are travelling, but and there'll be local partners. I'm sure there's probably a local coffee provider that I know of. I think it's like 2 more reps, is it? That'll probably, could be on some screens somewhere in the venue. But a little plug there, you can actually buy the coffee in our gym.
Yeah, true.
Plus Fitness Winyama and Nicklin Way, just FYI. So there's some really great things coming. And look, it is the first show back. But the support we've already had from obviously the people that worked with us for a really long time is, really phenomenal. So, especially with Chic, because they do such a great job.
Yeah, absolutely.
The girls there. And like even after Tropix, the last show in Townsville, Hannah said, I need you to go and check your mail. Have you got a notification? In Brisbane, I said, yeah. She goes, it's at the post office. And I thought, what is this? And there was this giant box there with all this beautiful product from Chic, just her thanking us for allowing them to be involved for so long.
Oh, good.
And I just thought, that's so lovely. Like, they don't need to do that.
Yep.
But then to say that we were coming back, she was like, yep, we're in. Straight away, messaged. I was like, okay, cool. Like, this is happening then.
Yeah, 100%.
So, yeah.
How good. Well, you mentioned posing workshops, so obviously that's something that will be implemented as the year goes on, because it's still September, so it's a long way away. But yeah, they'll be run at your various gyms or affiliated gyms.
And partners too. I mean, like a lot of people do on their own now, and that's something that we were doing them in towns because it was regional, right? We bring them into the gym, but then also I more look to see how do we rock up and help others. So when coaches are running, there's plenty around this region.
Yeah, there is.
How do we help them just understand? Because a lot of it's Q&A.
More so. Yeah.
And as you've seen the variations between shows and what they're looking for. Mm-hmm. For us, it's the same thing. It's what we always criteria we run at.
Yep.
Forever.
Yep.
So those sort of tweaks and everything else. But I always like to get along, just take the nerves, help the nerves off those who are just unsure. And that's what we've done always in those posing classes. We always ran in towns or when we're up there, is just getting people comfortable, and make sure. And then that just grew. And it was funny because I think when I first started running, we had like 3 or 4, and then all of a sudden we were 12, and then the last ones we were running ended up like 16 and 18, and I'm thinking, holy hell, I haven't got enough room for this. Need a bigger boat.
In our functional room up in
But there was only one me trying to spin around. But then there's so many posing coaches on the coast here that if they just want to come along and talk to them, that's what I'd rather help do that, and then rather take away, and then people are going to choose. I'm going to this posing class. It's better if they've got rhythm.
Of course.
But those who don't know, and then we get them, rather referral network and that's something we always had in the app too, which I think might be a lot probably broader down here. With we used to do a little bit with the app with obviously off the back of the Brisbane show, and where we could send people, but that network being now here and what you've already helped do with that point of presence with people, I think we'll be able to expand that and have that, use the app and let people get that referral network going.
Absolutely.
Because it is such a key thing of Sunny Coast. I think it's such underrated. Don't realise when we moved from Townsville down and went, holy hell, this ecosystem is crazy and very supportive. So,
absolutely.
And we'll be able to help publicise that and build that little community.
Wow, that's exciting. So looking ahead, like I'm assuming any future shows will be dependent on how the next one goes, but
no, we'll keep running.
Keep going.
To call it. This won't be a one fly in the pan. It's, that whole product we're here committed. Same as in towns, all right. But difference with this, we know the recipe. It's a known commodity. It's just, and we've always been here anyway. It's just now everyone's getting the whole attention, and 100% investment is here.
Cool.
So we'll bank in, and it'll be 5 to 10 years, whatever. This old dog keeps
kicking.
Well, and we've got the newbies coming through, Braden and that next set of Piper blood that's going to come through.
Okay.
He's
we've got a neat succession plan, and that's what.
But that's important for evolution, right?
Of course.
As a product grows, and in any business, because essentially, whilst shows are really, really fun, and this is probably the one thing between Scott and I, and why we love working together, is whilst we both have that entrepreneurial flair, I've always loved the commercials of it. So has he. But he has the visions and the delivery and just putting it out there, and I've always loved coming behind going, okay, here's the commercial side, we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and he'll say to me, I have this idea, and I'm like, great, let's do it, and then we run with it. And
then how much is it going to cost first?
There's a bit of money there, but that's fine. But whilst it's a show and it's fun, it's still a business. And at the end of the day, you do need to have that evolution plan, because no, we can't do this forever, although Mr. Tropix thinks that he probably could, and he probably would. But, we've got young little Braden, who is honestly so similar to Scott that sometimes when I'm talking to him, I think, God, I'm just talking to Scott 15 years ago. But yeah, so it's really nice to see that he will have his flair on things and he will have his team as well. And there'll be a bit of a changing of the guard over time, but that takes time.
We try to.
We'll try to, but it takes time. But it's nice that he wants to do it, because otherwise, that's just an evolution, right? You've got to always have people that continue doing it and continue the growth. So I think that's really important from a business perspective as well.
Yeah, but what's interesting with Braden and that young generation is getting his feedback. And you and I were talking about the other day, there's different listening coaches, and you take that feedback loop from that segment. But eyes and ears on the ground and that perspective that they're looking for. And it's like in any business, right? With in my other world in IT, with my team, and then trying to understand how they think. It's it's very different. And I think from even leadership roles, but then running a business, you got to know your customer, right? But then particularly in this is when I talk to Braden, the ideas that they're coming through and seeing, and then what they're looking for. Sometimes you just got to step back a little bit and actually go, okay, rather than say no, it's tell me more. How did you get to that thought? And then and he's learned some funny things already with some ideas he had coming through with to a point. He wanted to change the name of the show where we come down and take it on. I'm like, dude, do you buy a restaurant and then change the name when it's got a reputation? Who's going to know? Good point. But the intent, there's ideas there, but that's the other extreme of the other side, right? And there's sort of things, but particularly around from going through the gym network and hearing what some other 20-year-olds are looking for and thinking. And
he's
athletes.
Just a great source of information, and his passion's there, right? And he's an intelligent kid, and I think it's really great that he wants to follow in the footsteps of his uncle and do something. So I think that's really special in a lot of ways.
100%. Well, I guess the landscape of bodybuilding has, you could even attest to this from your first show to your last show, how much it changed. The evolution of the athlete themselves, the level of research, coaching, quality condition, new divisions, it's just chalk and cheese.
Science, nutrition.
And it probably feeds into your question earlier around what's in it for the athletes when they win. It's interesting now because the reward system comes, and that's what I was alluding to with how you reward them on the relationships and affiliate programs that you create. That back in 2008, 2009 when I started, we were competing. It was very simple. We always had chicken broccoli, and there was no thought. There was no apps
and a dirty bulk load the night before the show.
Big
bit
chips
of KFC.
and pizzas and mud cake and all that sort of stuff. But the science, there was no apps counting your calories and things like that, right? There was no training apps and things like that. So there's so many streams that can feed that reward ecosystem is different in that evolution of how an athlete trains now and what they look for to get to that destination. The irony, did we all get there at the same time? But then I look at the quality of athlete that's changed. We talk about a lot, and you probably had podcasts around that, is just the conditioning and the science behind it now. You only got to look at what BK's doing, and then those, and even Nathan, who's just come through that. But it's interesting that you take what Nathan Wallace, for example, from his old school. He was on the stage when I was competing, and he was phenomenal then. But then he come away, but then he's evolved with the science and adopted all this new way of technology, right? And then crazy how he's just pumped that into himself to make what he just proved last year. But that's the signs of where that science is so prevalent that creates the athletes that we see now, and that blows my mind. Like each year I still get there, and you hold the mic and you look up and go, holy moly, and the girls that are transitioned from the sport to the bikini. Like a bikini girl, we used to hear comments like, "Did they even go to the gym?" I'm like, mate, if you come to a show and see these girls, these aren't winning a contest in a bar. These girls are phenomenal. Like these train athletes.
They are sport,
absolutely mind-blowing athletes who are in conditioning this. And when some friends of ours actually come and see them, like, wow, that's never seen anything like it. It's a whole different era. But that evolution between the girls segment itself is something itself.
Oh, 100%,
I think I've listened to many podcasts that, and there's been plenty of conversation about that, but I still think that gets lost a lot, and that's where promoters, we've got to celebrate that and make sure we're always embracing that and making sure that that's shone and people understand that. And then celebrate it too as they go through.
Oh, of course,
But we're pretty excited to bring that sort of flavour into the mix.
Absolutely, how exciting, unreal. Is there anything else you wanted to add in regards to what we haven't spoken about today? Just to give people more of an idea, because obviously this is the first podcast you guys have been on since announcing. I'm sure you'll be on a couple more at some stage, but...
No, I'd probably elephant in the room question. I know there's probably listeners that probably ask because you tiptoe around it, but why aren't we ICN anymore? And it's probably another podcast in itself. And Kate and I were talking on the way over, like, if Paulc asks, how are we going to answer that? And like I said at the beginning, if people really want to know the tea, I'm happy to chat. But see, there's no bad blood with ICN. I love the federation, everything we did. Unfortunately, the way that the model of the federation works, to where we were trying to take it and come out of Townsville, and then when I wanted to come down here fully, it's just not set up that way to allow that, right? It's the commercial model doesn't quite facilitate what we were used to in gym worlds and franchising and run like that.
I think the difference is too, because we had such a commercial background and we've always had our own business. I mean, we've been in the business world as owners for 15 years now, and there is always a bottom line and there is always framework, and unfortunately you've got to still think of it as a commercial product. It's fun and it's a show, and I was just saying that before, and that was lacking, and I think that's where it sort of got a little bit lost.
Okay.
And as Scott said, there's no bad blood, but it just
wasn't possible to get what we put down, what we wanted to do. Didn't work, and everyone knows there's some great things in ICN and relationship with Brisbane and all that's still there, and that's the thing. We've got Tropix as a product, and that's what I realised. It's like anything, right? Where product is there, whatever brand you put on it. Remember, those who've been in for a while know when ICN was IMBA, and then it was a transition away from America and became ICN. Was a hell of a hefty expense to change all the logos and the branding and everything. For me, it's basically the same thing now with Tropix. It's just the single I'm wearing now is just the Tropix, but we've always kept our identity. We've never lost that. And it wasn't intent being commercial minded. I started that probably 7 or 8 years ago, and I realised how the federation was built and what was done. There was nothing to own. And that's what I always was cautious about, being commercial minded. How do we protect that? And to say we wouldn't federate with someone else, I had a question asked on socials actually, is what federation you're going to, it's Tropix Federation. So the federation isn't going to deliver me anything different than what the great show that we want to, the experience we want to do.
True.
What that looks like in time, do we needing to federate? But honestly, I don't really want to close that door, rather than just leave it open, that one day I might come back and it is ICN Tropix again. You never know how the world works, and that's why we never kill relationships or
of course
we just leave it open. But for us, it was just about, everyone wanted the product back, and it's like a restaurant that shut down for a bit. We just livened it back up, and this is where we need to be, because we all live here. And irony, half our Townsville team are now, well, most of them are all Brisbane now. So they all followed us when we left.
There's actually 2 that their last day in Townsville was yesterday.
Oh wow!
And they are heading down.
So we've only got
there you go.
So there's
4 of them, 5 of the team,
still in Townsville.
Big Brad grows, but there's about 5 left in Townsville. The rest
are
all
here. And Zane's still in WA, but I mean, it's easier for him to fly here now than it is Townsville. So, but they're all down here. So that's really interesting.
There you go.
So but those who are probably worried about this, politics, there's nothing really untoward to it all. I mean, you can dig through and hear whatever stories and rumours, but for me, we wish Jason all the best with what he's doing ICN Queensland and all the rest of it. But for us, we've always been who we are and run what we've done. I've always kept my ethics and rules around how we've run and the way we do things in Townsville. And now it's just picking up running in Sunny Coast. So, forget all the rumours, whatever you may have heard. And that's just the elephant in the room question I love to bring out, right?
Sure.
People get lost in that, and then it becomes an emotional dance. And there's no need for it, right? All at the end of the day is those who have done the show or only have to ask someone else who's been, and they'll go, yep, that was a great day out and worth the money they spent to get on stage.
Absolutely.
So I mean, maybe another podcast we get into some of the tips and tricks that we do to what makes that experience great, and what we do in that Tropix experience. I think we touched on it in India a while ago, but we've got a new audience and wider audience now as people start to listen. So happy to share that, because I think that gives people peace of mind around what they're expecting.
Absolutely.
Come game day.
But
that's probably what to close out is in a positive note, because it's not a negative, but it's probably for us, where we just, and only probably loop back to the fact that we're just damn excited to be back here and start to deliver the Tropix experience to our glorious fitness community.
There you go. Excellent. So if people do have questions, that hasn't been covered today, how do they reach you? What's the
come through the socials?
So the app.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not the app. The Instagram page.
Instagram, yeah, which is the Tropix.
And
Tropix.
also via email as well. So on the posters that have been released, it's got Scott's email.
Okay.
But probably the easiest would be Instagram because
Yep.
I manage that as well. So it's really easy for me to just pop on and answer any questions for them.
Yeah.
Excellent.
But yeah, always available.
And there's
to
no
any
dumb questions, and there's everything's open door. So we've always been that way. So happy to help in any way. And even the unsure, first timers coming through.
Yep.
And that's the thing with we've got a great network of trainers to refer to, and happy to help in any way we can.
Perfect. All right. And then obviously registration will sort of be available after season A sort of round.
Yeah, around that time.
Somewhere around there. Yeah.
We'll watch the trending and see how everything goes.
Yep.
But that's sort of usually. But I always same rules are always run with.
Yeah, it's
trying to do
fair
anything silly and break protocol and run earlier and then confuse the market. That's the thing. We're always FIFA fair play. I want to make sure and that's what we did with the calendar too. Make sure we didn't collide with anyone, and we've always done that. And I think we slot in well with where we need to be.
Perfect. Cool.
But pretty damn excited actually.
Yeah, that's good.
It's going to be great.
Fantastic. So what's on for the rest of the day?
Heading back to the gym because we've got to work. Do some fun stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of training. Take Penelope to the beach.
Sunshine Coast life. How can you go wrong?
Yeah, I know. It's not bad, hey?
I know. Look,
it's the vibe.
So
is that the
terrible
vibe? Is that the word you use?
It is the vibe.
The vibe.
It's the energy and the vibe, and we love it.
Fantastic. Well, thank you guys. It's really great to firstly chat, but also get your time, deliver what the Tropix will be all about. So this will obviously give people a fairly significant insight as to what they can expect. 6th of September, Sunshine Coast Function Centre, is that right? That's what it's called?
Connected to the Caloundra RSL.
RSL. So look out for, obviously, registrations open in a not too distant future. But if people have questions, jump on social media and send an email, message, or even an email.
Yep.
And then just keep following the pages for any updates.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Thank you for having us.
No problem. Very exciting.
The famous Paul's Body Engineering podcast.
There you go. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll wrap it up there. But thank you once again, guys. And best of luck with preparation for the show.
Thanks, boys.
Thank you.